I feel like I have created so much tragedy.
Life starts out as a blank canvas. As we continue to grow and experience things like the first day of school, or those holidays that we grow out of. Going into middle school, we start paving our own way, finding time with friends, and eventually we start high school, and we become more of an individual and start looking at putting paint to our actual canvas. Finding our new friends, going to prom, going to Pep Fest, heck, even snapping a weird photo with family. As we continue to grow, we look at our aspirations and dreams of graduating high school and eventually moving to a place where we're walking across the stage and graduating college, getting our first job, and buying our first car. And then
Ma'am, are you okay?
Where's the other one?
I don't know. We gotta be down there. SB60 in Rochester. We're gonna need fire for education too. Ma'am, I know you're hurt, but you gotta stay in your car. Ma'am, you gotta stay in the car, okay? I know you're stuck in there, but you can't get out, ma'am. I need you to stay in the car, please, okay?
I can't do it.
I know, we're gonna have people come and get you out though, okay? We can't get you out this way, you're stuck, okay? Ma'am, you can stay in the car for now, okay?
Where's our other vehicle at?
I don't know, I think it's... Well, what do we got for mile marker? Was there anyone else in the car with you, ma'am? Ma'am, I need you to stay in.
I can't do it.
I know, we're having someone... Ma'am, was there anyone else in the car with you? Was there anyone else in the car with you? Just you? You were the only one in the car, ma'am? You can't get out, ma'am. I need you. I know. Was there anyone else in the car with you?
I'm sorry, I can't do it anymore.
I know. You can't get out, though, ma'am. There's no way for you to get out.
Oh my God, I can't do it anymore.
I know. We're having the fire department. Watch you out. Ma'am, you can't get out of the car. You're stuck in there, okay? We're going to have the fire come and cut you out, okay?
I'm sorry.
I know. It's okay. It's okay. Was there anyone else in the car with you, though? I just need to make sure there's no one else. You the one who called us?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 second. 583 Adam Boy Paul.
She was coming
wrong way in my head.
You want to go over to my car? We'll just walk over here and then I'll talk to you first. Okay. Okay, so you're coming this way?
And I thought, I'm down the wrong side.
And you were down there
I
in the way.
took the shoulder.
Okay. Was she in your lane? Did you see her coming right at you, or was she in the... Okay, so she was in the left lane. You're in the right lane, okay.
He was in the
And he was in the left lane, but he was... How far behind you was he?
Oh. I don't know.
Okay.
From here to that top.
Okay, so not a great distance.
No.
So then you're in the right lane, you're in the left lane, or you saw her coming at you, you hit the shoulder.
I took the shoulder.
Did you see the
I
actual...
rode on that.
Okay. Did you see the actual... Did you see the actual collision?
I think sparks flying there.
Okay.
There it is.
Okay. All right.
And then I didn't see any lights or vehicles there.
Okay.
So then I just pulled over, called 911.
I talked to a witness in that car there.
Yeah.
He said it was this car going the wrong way.
Okay.
He said she's falling over.
Oh, who feels or? Oh.
No, she said she knows what the car was, but this is the other car is an older one.
Yeah.
So she said she remembers passing it.
Okay.
So
You got her name and all that?
Yeah, I got her name and phone number. I told her I would give her a call tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah,
Are they landing right there? Or
yeah, we'll put them down right here, but I haven't,
So this is when I was in track.
Each picture from Sandra Douard's past has a story, or brings her back to a specific time in her life.
This is my best friend. This is who I was with that night.
Some of them
There's so much sadness in this face.
are times she wishes she could take back.
I look like a felon in this picture. And it's sad because this picture just screams, how did I get here? You think, what happened? You know, what happened along the way that got me here?
It all started in the early morning of June 23rd, 2011.
I think at 23 I kind of felt invincible and, you know, young, and I just wish I would have listened. I wish I would have listened to my dad or anybody else that said, hey, don't drink and drive.
After a night of drinking with friends in Rochester, Sandra got a sober ride from the bars, but then decided to head back to Mankato for work instead of waiting until morning.
I thought, oh gosh, I have to open the salon at 9 a.m. and said, just drop me off at my car. So he dropped me off at my car that was in a parking ramp, and I didn't make it 8 miles outside of Rochester.
State Patrol 911.
Yes, I'm coming home from work on 14 towards Byron, and there was a car coming down the wrong lane on 14, and it hit the car behind me head on.
The vehicle she hit had 3 young men inside. 2 of them died on scene. Another was airlifted to the hospital with serious injuries, but survived.
They ended up having to cut me out with the jaws of life because head-on collision, the car just squished my legs. So my arms were free and my upper body was free, but my legs were completely trapped.
Ma'am, are you okay? And you can't get out, ma'am. I need you.
Sandra's left foot was broken in 4 different spots. Her right foot was almost completely detached from her leg. She broke her pelvis, and a traumatic brain injury wiped her memory of the day of the crash and the following weeks.
This was what my parents saw. first, I was in so much pain. So that's all I could think about. I couldn't even get to the fact that I had killed 2 people because it was just too much all at once.
Sandra would spend 3 months in the hospital, then another month in a nursing home going through physical therapy. As her body started to heal, the consequences of her actions started to weigh on her. At one point, she considered killing herself.
I would think, how can I live? There's only one option, and that's for me to go too.
But instead, she decided to face the consequences of her actions.
You chose to plead guilty. Why did you do that?
I made a mistake. Whatever the consequences were, I knew that I needed to do that. I of course was scared, but I knew that something needed to be done.
Sandra's blood alcohol level the night of the crash was 0.16. That's 2 times the legal limit. She was sentenced to 6 years in prison for 2 counts of criminal vehicular homicide and 1 count of criminal vehicular operation. While she can't actually remember the crash or deciding to drive drunk that night, she says not a day goes by that she doesn't remember the lives she took and the loved ones they left behind.
That's still hard because I just bought this house. I can have things in life. If I want to, I can get married and have kids, and I get to celebrate birthdays and go to holidays, and I took that away from people.
Sandra says she isn't looking for anyone's pity or sympathy. She simply hopes her story will help stop others from making the same mistake.
I never thought that it would happen to me. No one does. It's just the most devastating situation, but it didn't need to happen. We wouldn't need to be sitting here if I made a different choice that night.
Hi, Rosemount High School. This is Mr. Roback. As you listen to Sandra's tragic story, I hope you were able to connect with her and really feel how the decision of her driving impaired changed her life in a tragic way, which not only impacted her, but also an innocent family. You are about to witness some recent conversations between first responders and myself. All of these first responders are graduates of Rosemount High School. What you're about to hear are some of the thoughts and feelings of real-life situations that these first responders have been through regarding drinking and distracted driving. When you listen to these conversations, pay close attention to the emotions that these first responders have when they talk about their job, their role, and their experiences when they get called to an accident with an impaired or distracted driver.
I am Lee Anderson. I am a 30-year firefighter for the city of Rosemount and have been in EMS since I graduated from high school. So 30 plus years of being in EMS, and I'm also a teacher here at Rosemount High School. I teach the emergency services class for students interested in being in the EMS or firefighting or law enforcement.
My name is Giovanna Johnson. I am a registered nurse. I work at Children's Specialty Healthcare on an orthopedic surgical unit.
I'm Eric Fairchild. I'm a state trooper with the Minnesota State Patrol. Been with the patrol for going on 2 years now. My main function as far as my day-to-day is I work the HOV or the min-pass lanes. So I go from 394 to 35E to 35W routinely, and just help enforce those carpool or high occupancy lanes.
Yeah, so my name is Chiran Dubé. I am a community service officer with the Airport Police Department here in Minneapolis.
I'm Chad Ganfield. I'm with the Rosemount Fire Department. I'm currently a lieutenant out of Fire Station 2. Been on the fire department for 18 years.
My job when we first get on the scene is to make sure my crew's safe, but I also make sure that we don't get further injuries from people driving by, also being distracted by this chaos and mayhem that they're driving by. It's crazy because we'll see people pick up their phone and watch the accident as they go by. We also, our role is to find out who's hurt the most. If we get one ambulance at a time, who's going to get the first ride? Who's the most severe? Who's going to benefit from getting that first ride to the hospital?
If there is a car accident, the EMS gives us a verbal report. So by the time they arrive, we are somewhat aware of what the patient's health condition is like. So during this process time, I am getting the room prepared, gathering supplies, and basically getting as many people as I can to get all hands on deck. We are triaging people based on their condition, whether they are being transferred to floor status or to the PICU, or straight down to surgery. We take anywhere from like newborn up to 26 years old. So sometimes people just get split up inside of the hospital, which can be a little bit difficult. And mostly it's just using our critical thinking, doing what we can best in order to help these people survive. And we are aware before they arrive if they've been intoxicated or have done some drugs or something. So we'll get labs and do routine testing, check their level of consciousness, make sure they're alert and oriented, because we can't administer certain medications if they have been impaired. We'll speak with the family. And it's sort of like just a roller coaster of all of these things going on. Some children are afraid because they feel that they're in trouble, but their parents are concerned because they just want their well-being to be okay. So it's definitely a challenging situation to be put in.
My role as a first responder, especially with the State Patrol, is we do crash investigations. That's one of our main functions is with crashes. We investigate why the crash occurred. We call them in the State Patrol crashes because accidents are preventable, or accidents are not preventable, crashes are preventable. There's some sort of wrongdoing when a collision happens, whether it's somebody's impaired, somebody that's distracted, somebody's going too fast. So our role is to essentially complete a crash report, determining cause of crashes, and then any sort of wrongdoing as well.
I like that distinction between accident and crash. I've never quite heard it put like that before.
Yeah, that's why we try to call them crashes, because there's always a way to prevent a crash.
Yeah.
There's some sort of wrongdoing. It's very, very uncommon for it to be an accident.
So my role as a first responder is pretty supportive to fire, EMS, and police officers in general. We help gather stuff whenever needed, or sometimes we're even first on the scene for a lot of the things that can happen. But think of my role as more of a supportive role to other first responders as well.
So when we arrive on a scene, our first objective is to figure out how many vehicles we have involved, how many patients we have, and if they're all still in the car, if they're walking around. Sometimes we have to gather all that information real quick to figure out how many additional resources and things we need to take care of that scene. So, and then once we determine that, when we arrive on a scene, some of the things we do is protect the scene from other traffic and other things coming in. So we have to be thinking about where we're parking, how we protect that scene itself, and make sure nothing else happens to those vehicles or patients that we're there to take care of. A lot of times, especially when people are impaired drinking and driving, they don't get out of the vehicles, right? And so we have to actually go up and make contact with the vehicle and see if there's people inside and if they need medical aid. So
our first step is scene safety. That's just the biggest thing. A crash occurred. It's going to be a very dynamic situation at that point once we arrive on scene, especially if you're the first person on scene. First step is scene safety. We want to make sure the people involved in the crash don't get any more hurt if they already are hurt. And then also make sure the motoring public is safe as well while going around the crash. So at that point, once the scene is safe, we kind of assess how many vehicles are involved in the crash, whether it's multiple vehicles or single vehicle, who is involved with the specific vehicles as well. So we'll go up to occupants of vehicles, if they're inside or outside their cars, to see what vehicle they're driving, and then also witnesses as well. And then with that face-to-face contact or conversations with people involved, whether driving involved or witnessing, that's when we can kind of tell if there's something going on as far as impairment goes. With witnesses, sometimes they're really good at telling us, this vehicle here is driving kind of different. He was kind of weaving around, crossing over lane lines. He was braking erratically. He was speeding. That's another big one too, going faster than he really needed to. And then at that point, like I say, we just have a conversation with the involved parties. And then at that point, that's when we really start to get in depth to determine if somebody is impaired that would have resulted in this crash.
So that's perfect. So that kind of leads right into that next question. So you kind of, you secure the scene, you make sure things are safe, you start getting those, some of those initial observations. And once you determine that there's a potential impairment going on here, what happens then with that impaired driver? How do you approach that situation?
So once we start determining or heightening our suspicion of somebody being impaired, that's where we go in more of like an investigative questioning type of thing. So I'll typically ask somebody, where are you coming from? If they say they're coming from a friend's house, I then ask them, where are you heading? Are you heading home, or are you going to a friend's house again? And at that point, we just kind of monitor how they're talking, how they're standing, if they're swaying back and forth, if they're slurring their speech, if they're confused. That's when we really start to get into an investigative point of seeing if somebody is impaired. Just with that type of conversation, there's clues that we typically look for in law enforcement when we're talking with somebody, like, yeah, that's a very good indicator that they're impaired right now. At that point, once we start heightening our suspicion of impairment, that's when we start running them through what's called field sobriety test. It's a series of tests meant to divide attention. Driving in and of itself is a very divided skill, essentially, because you're driving, you're controlling the vehicle, but you're also looking at your surroundings as well. That's when impairment can play a huge factor in the crashes that occur when somebody is under the influence of some sort of alcohol or narcotic as well. So your divided attention goes down immensely depending on what you're under the influence of. So we run them through these tests just to see if they're impaired or to confirm our suspicion of being impaired. At that point, we kind of just cross the road if we find any sort of real hard clues of them being impaired.
Prior to an ambulance arriving on scene, some of the things that we do is we take care of their vitals. If they're not breathing, we got to make sure we open airways and get oxygen going. If there's any severe bleeding, we have to make sure we stop that. Sometimes these extrications are prolonged. We can be sometimes extricating a patient out of a vehicle for up to an hour if it's that bad. So we have to take those measures to make sure that we're keeping that patient viable to get them out of the car and get the care they need. They may have spinal injuries, they may have the lacerations and stuff that are critical that need to be taken care of immediately before we even move them.
So when we're arriving at the scene, our firefighters, police are involved, EMS is involved. We bring multiple fire trucks to go on scene with us, and that's to protect us and the victims in the accident. Many people are so distracted in driving nowadays that they'll end up hitting a fire truck that we brought on, and we use those actually to protect ourselves. So that's taking care of our patients right away so nobody gets hurt further, nor do we.
So has there ever been a time that you're at the hospital with the victims and the impaired driver at the same time?
What happens is I was volunteer for Bloomington at the time, and another accident involved an impaired driver. It was a T-bone accident. Not paying attention, red light kind of scenario where driver went through the red light and wasn't paying attention, and ended up at the hospital. We went there to get a blood draw again. One of the things about blood draws is that you have to have a warrant if they don't consent to it. And right now, actually, you need a warrant regardless. So you can't just go take somebody's blood without their permission, and a judge needs to sign off on it to make sure that happens.
And how long can that take?
Usually, so now it's a matter of minutes.
Oh, wow.
And it's there's the system where the judge will sign it electronically. You don't have. A long time ago, they were saying that you had to go knock on the judge's house if 3 o'clock in the morning, and had to wait for it. But now it's pretty much just all over a secured connection, and it's pretty easy to get a warrant, especially when it's a situation like that. It baffles me that I think that a lot of the times that when there is an impaired driver, that it's the impaired driver that doesn't suffer the consequence as much as the person that, if there's another vehicle or another person involved. And a lot of it has to do with physics. I mean, your body goes limp when you're intoxicated and you're not expecting that crash, versus the family who they hit, they tense up and they see that happening, and it's not fair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A distracted driver who was actually a student of mine, which is actually my biggest fear. My pager goes off and I'm responding to a call, and I pull up to the scene and I know that person. It was this individual was a student of mine. She was driving on Highway 3, paying attention, but Highway 3 people drive pretty fast. Someone had crossed over the line and probably connected with about a foot of their car. As they approached each other, they connected. Her car spun around, and she ended up draped across the front seat because she fell out of her seat. The driver of the other vehicle ended up spinning around, and their car caught on fire. Okay, so that vehicle is on fire. The student that I had, she was banged up. Wasn't her fault. Now she's dealing with the trauma of seeing this car. She probably had to wait maybe 3 minutes for someone else to call 911, and that first officer on scene to show up. That felt like an hour to her, as she's realizing what just happened to me and gathering her thoughts. The first person on scene was a student of mine who also knew this young lady, my student, and because he was working for the sheriff's department. And he's first on scene, and he approached her, saw that she was talking, approached the other car, the vehicle that was on fire, and it was too late. It was too late for that person to be alive anymore, because the fire spread too fast.
In my experience, a situation that reminds me of a tough conversation I had to have with a family. There was a group of teenagers, and they were drinking and driving and ended up getting into an accident. The kids were split up throughout the hospital, and some of them had minor conditions and some of them had life-threatening issues. Some of them were in the process of starting to do organ donation because their organs were starting to fail. And I just remember that I was assigned the patient that just had the minor injuries, and the patient kept asking about their friend and their status. And it was really hard to provide care when I knew that their best friend was dying in the PICU. So that was very difficult to have those conversations with the parents and the family, and saying you need to stay off social media. You can't be on your phone, and just telling them that we just don't have an answer for this, or focus on yourself, try to distract yourself. It's just really hard, and it was frustrating because it was a situation that could have been prevented. I would also say just having the support of coworkers to be able to kind of just grieve the loss together, even though we can't disclose it to the patient and families. It definitely makes you feel like a middleman, but you know that it's what's best. But I would say that's definitely not my favorite part of my job.
A couple years ago, my partner and I were driving around. We're on the highway, and there's a call that comes out for a wrong way driver on the highway. We were going the same direction that the car was coming, so the car was coming towards us, and so when you see something like that, you hear something like that, it's all hands on deck kind of thing. Unfortunately, we got there after an accident had occurred. We located two vehicles. It was a head-on collision. It was it was pretty much in the Bloomington area, Bloomington, Minneapolis, kind of a corridor area where traffic traffic is just horrendous, and it was 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night. So it was a Saturday. So, but no matter what, it was pretty bad. My partner and I, we were the first one there, and we got there, and it was pretty horrific. We saw when the two vehicles collided, we saw that there was a family in one vehicle and a male in another one. The male got out of the vehicle. He was walking around. We told him to sit down, stay here. We went to go check on the family. When we looked in the family, there was 3 teenagers in the back seat, a mom and dad who they just picked up from the airport. And the dad was pretty banged up. The mom was unconscious at the time. And one of the kids did pass away that was in the back seat. Come to find out, the driver that was going the wrong way was intoxicated. He was impaired. He had, I still remember the number, but it was a 0.23 blood alcohol concentration, which is well over 3 times the legal limit. And the thing is that he was able to walk away from that accident. The family, however, they were the ones that suffered the biggest consequences. They lost a child. I think the mom had some back problems, but it's not fair to the family that ends up dealing with the consequences of somebody who decided to, take that last drink and decide to get behind the wheel.
So I was new to the fire department. I was just getting off probation. I was 2 years on in the fire department. There was a call in the middle of the night for a car accident. It was a car versus a train. And I responded to the call, new to the fire department. It's kind of excited that I get to actually do something now. Arrive on scene and the car actually hit the train. The train didn't hit the car. So that was kind of odd to think about, that they had a moving train that was in the middle of the road. So as we were arriving on scene, there was an ambulance leaving the scene already. So somebody had been ejected from the car because they weren't wearing a seatbelt. And then we come to find out that the driver of the vehicle was deceased in the vehicle. We had to wait for the coroner to show up. It had hit the train, rolled the car over, and the gas meter, it was a pipeline meter that it landed on, hit the driver in the head. What hit home to me was kid was still holding a beer can in his hand. So that obvious was drinking and driving, right? So my first call that I got to do some extrication on, first call I got to do a medical treatment for somebody on, it was somebody I knew. So and the fact that I had to put them in a body bag and haul them out of a ditch was pretty impactful for me. So one thing I guess I take home from that is I live close to that location where that happened. So I see that same gas meter, on a pretty much daily basis. So, I still think about it 16 years later of how that impacted somebody. So not only his family and friends, it's something that sticks with me. So
Prom's meant to be a memorable time and to have fun with friends, but it's important to make those smart decisions too, because one bad decision can result in greatly affecting your life and somebody else's life as well. So just make the right decision is my biggest advice to people going to prom.
So my advice for prom is be safe, make smart choices, make smart decisions. And my thing, like I said before, is that just think about all actions have consequences, and, just think about what those consequences can be. They're not, prom is, it's, like your last hurrah of high school, and, enjoy that with your friends, enjoy that with your classmates. It's a good time of year, but, just be smart.
So we want to make sure that everybody has a good time. We make those memories that are going to last us forever. Mr. Roback and I, we still have memories of the great times we had at graduation and prom, but we prefer not to have those memories that this other young lady has. in the previous accident I told you about. So focus on that road and focus on what you're supposed to be doing while you're driving. And if your friends are in the car with you, let's help each other focus on that driving too.
My advice for attending prom this year for 2021 would be to obviously have fun, be present in the moment, cherish these memories that you have with your friends, and make those lifelong relationships so that they can flourish in the future. But I would also recommend to make a smart decision to not drink and drive or do drugs or anything, because one stupid decision could cause a life-threatening problem forever. So yeah, I would say to be smart, but have fun.
You know, enjoy the night, enjoy your friends, take it all in and make up good memories, but also remember that the judgments that you make that night can impact a lot of people and for many years to come. So make sure that you make the most of it, but also be safe.
Many end-of-year celebrations and events, including prom, will be happening soon. I am asking all students, not just seniors attending prom, to keep Sandra's story in mind when making plans and real-time decisions. Take time to think about what you have heard from these first responders. And please, take time to think about how you can be safe and make smart choices on nights that are filled with fun and excitement with friends. For prom, the faculty and staff at Rose Mountain High School want you to have a night to remember, a night you're able to enjoy with your friends. But please, if you find yourself in a situation where you do not feel comfortable or safe, call a family member or call a trusted friend for help. We are excited for all of you as this most challenging of school years comes to an end. Have fun, make memories, and support each other in staying safe and healthy.